Three, and we're live.
Assalamu alaikum. How you guys
Walaikum
doing?
assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Imran. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah. How's everybody doing here?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Good to be here.
Yeah. So Zahruddin, I have this issue for you. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Tell me if it will work or not. Okay. So I did some basic calculation, and I think I might have a solution.
Okay.
So I selected like a big city for this model, right? And you take a big stadium, right? And you just fill like 80,000 people in the stadium, right? And then you have, for example, 20% beds prepared for the people who will get sick, but you inflict everybody with the virus. Okay, so everybody in the stadium was exposed to the virus. You keep them for 2 weeks, right? And then once they're cured, right, then you release them after that 2 weeks. Now you have these 80,000 people who are walking around in the city, and they can't infect anybody else, but also now they can start running the economic engine, right? And then what you do is, while they're there, you give them that basic training, intensive style, so they can help out within to serve the needs of the community as well. Once they're out, you bring in another 20,000 or 80,000 people, and then you say, "Hey, let's do the same thing."
Okay, so from what I'm understanding, you're trying to do like a group inoculation, like crowd inoculate. So like infect the people, have that herd immunity, and then kind of send them out.
Exactly.
With respect to coronavirus, there have been reports, especially from the start of coronavirus, where a lot of people that did get infected and they did recover would often come back to the hospital and be hospitalized again because they got reinfected. So there's no such, general kind of assumption across the medical community that yes, you getting coronavirus once and then being recovered from it means you have that kind of immunity. Because coronaviruses in general, it's a family, right? So SARS, MERS, those came before, right? Those were both extremely virulent, so they're extremely infectious, one. But the second thing is that they have the ability to mutate extremely quickly. So you getting coronavirus once, say in January, and then you get recovering from it, doesn't necessarily mean that the coronavirus you get from your brother is the same coronavirus that you had. It might be a different strain entirely.
Okay, so here's another issue altogether. I have this condition where I want to scratch my face all the time. What do I do?
Can't relate.
Like as soon as I started saying "don't scratch your face," my face started itching everywhere. Like I want to scratch right here,
me too.
Scratch right here. What do I do?
Ideally, if you can get like sterile gloves, that would be my best suggestion. If it's like a psychiatric kind of problem, or if it's like something that's kind of related to a psychological issue. Oh man, bringing the gloves out already. But ideally, that's probably your best bet. Now, with normal people, if per se you don't really have
It's
any
good now?
Psychiatric problem, yeah, that's better, right?
And then
you don't really
bam,
have,
done.
just throw it out,
Face
easy peasy.
scratched.
Yeah. But if you don't really have any psychiatric issues, avoid the face, avoid the eyes, avoid any areas that you can ingest or inhale anything, or you can get anything that you can absorb anything. So avoid clean up really well. Hand sanitizer, soap, especially that 20-second rule actually does work from a scientific basis. But that would be my advice, just coming and talking from like a medical background and being in the medical field.
Yeah, they say saying happy birthday twice when you're washing your hands, eh?
Yeah, that's your 20 seconds right there.
That's happy birthday every day. Get happy and start singing, right?
Pretty much.
Mahmoud, is it your birthday today?
I wish. No, it isn't.
Did you watch
Actually, doesn't that feel kind of sad? Anyone that has a birthday right now has to have a party of one.
Oh, they can have a party with their family.
Oh, I guess.
Or they can have a party like we're having a party right now.
They can have a party on your balcony.
Hey,
yeah, like the Spanish people.
Okay, what do you think about doing a night program online?
Actually, I think it's a pretty good idea. Like on a side note, now there's this thing called what is it, Netflix Watch Party. So even if you're like streaming a movie, you can like pause it and it pauses for everyone, and then you can all comment on it. So like there's that entertainment value in doing group things online. But I think if you have a night program online, that might be pretty sick. Maybe like in the comments below, some kids could tell us if they look forward to that.
Why not screen Bruno Muhammad's like his movie?
Oh, that'd be better. Like instead of just a random Netflix show, we could do like an
Yeah.
Islamic one. Yeah.
I like it, but the challenge with that is, how can you get a whole bunch of guys to just sit in front of a screen all night?
Dude, they do it all day. That's what kids are, glued to their phone. That's
Yeah,
an
well, if they're
advantage for
doing it
us.
all day anyways, do you think they're gonna do it all night as well? I think
Why
they would just
not?
go to bed.
Maybe because if we make it beneficial for them, like if it's meaningful to them, why not, right? I mean, they're gonna miss out on our night programs, and let's get it done, right? So, but again, Akil, what or everybody, what are some of the things that we can do in the night program?
I think there is a version in which we can manage to play games together online. You guys are all familiar with streaming video games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you found some simple games, we could stream them and play it online. Instead of having like a Netflix watch party, we can have our own virtual tournaments, right? Or we can have even a quiz bowl online.
I like it.
Yeah.
We can stream a game of Jeopardy online easily.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then it doesn't only have to be people from our programs. We can invite like a wider audience. I think
like
that'd
the
be something really
community.
fun. Yeah. Because you social distancing doesn't mean distancing yourself from Islam or distancing yourself from fun. It just that physical contact. But thankfully, we live in the 21st century.
That sounded weird. 21st century. Where was that accent from?
I'm sure it's some catchphrase somewhere.
It's I'm pretty sure it has to do with the millennial speech pattern.
Okay, yes. Mahmoud, give us some positivity. What's happening in the what's happening right now that we can look forward to, like something positive that's happening in the community?
Well, as we all know, we are in some pretty tough times, but it's really in the tough times that people come together and show just how amazing the human beings can be, regardless of culture. And so one of the things that we're seeing is one of the sad things that happened with one of the food banks was they're running low on supplies, and so what happened is one of our brothers from the community just took initiative and had his pickup truck, drove it just to a nearby Canadian Tire, and just went on Facebook, told people, "Hey guys, I'm gonna be here, tomorrow, between
Shout
these
out
times."
to Omar.
Exactly. And our brother Omar, mashallah, he managed to fill up his truck completely with the donations that the community members then came and dropped off at the parking lot, and it was amazing show. And he sent us some pictures on Facebook, and I think it's a very good time yes, we have the social distancing aspect, but it's a really good time to bring people together in what is now being called caremongering, where we have people coming together and starting initiatives in their own communities, locally, nationally, internationally, to take care of the people. The whole thing with shopping for elders, right, or volunteering to go on shopping sprees for the vulnerable sector. I think that's really, really beautiful, and that's something that we can see can only be expanding as we go, as we stay longer in this quarantine period.
If you would like to see like amazing stories like these, follow our Facebook page, Momintum.com, or Momintum Official on Facebook, because we not only promote our content, but we're happy when people do good things like this, so we share their stories as well. Yeah.
Speaking on the social aspect of it, there is one thing that needs to be done. We're seeing that our blood banks are going low on supplies, and we know how important the important work that Canada Blood Services is doing, and we really need to show support. Doctors have cleared us; they said it's safe, and maybe Brother Zaharuddin can lend support to this idea. Please, brothers and sisters, go out, donate blood, do it in a safe manner. Please take care of yourselves and take care of the community that you live in. You really don't have to be right next to the person to show them support. Alhamdulillah, as Brother Akil said, we live in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And there's so many more ways, now more than ever, that we can that we can really show support and bring our community together and strengthen ourselves and our communities all together.
I know,
I'd
like
just like
doing these
to
things can be
touch
scary,
on
but
that
yeah,
quickly.
let's hear Zahardin.
Going back to the blood donations. So, and this is something that's kind of widely known. Just like that, one donation of 300 milliliters of blood can often be spread across hundreds of people that need it. So you going to the blood center, going to the blood donation site, and just taking that those 300 cc's that literally is nothing to someone who has 5 liters is brings so much reward, brings so much benefit for other people.
On a personal note, I recently donated blood, and I was like, for the first time I've done it, right? So what we did was I got my dad to go with me and my friend. We all went together because I think like having that support might be helpful if it's your first time. And I was like truly impressed by the professionality the staff had. They were like all well trained, you could tell. They're all very manually, and they're respectful of different people regardless of your background. And then at the end of it, you get like the most delicious cookies and snacks ever to feast on. So it's really a positive experience for me.
One quick note also, there are some people who are unable to give blood. For those of us, and I'm one of them, due to some policies, I'm not, blood is not acceptable from me. For people like us, inshallah, what we could do is spread awareness, right? If you have an opportunity that you know that something is happening in your community, go online, start spreading the news, and unite the people, or make this service accessible to more people so they know about it, and they can help as well. So even if I can't physically help, by spreading the message, and this is again the digital age, not hard to do. In 5 seconds, you can share it with your entire groups, or your entire group. Please, if there's nothing you can do physically, or you feel that there's nothing you can do physically, always check in with what's happening in your local communities. There's so much happening. The mosques, being the community centers that they are, tend to give out updates on what's happening, what's needed, what needs to be done. So stay in touch with your communities, and with your friends and families. And if there's any an opportunity that you yourself perhaps can't partake in, spread the noise. Spread the noise, and combat the infectiousness of coronavirus with the infectiousness, pardon me, of the human goodwill.
So now all of the masajid today, especially in Edmonton, and this wasn't the case in Edmonton, maybe maybe 4 hours ago or 5 hours ago, but starting tomorrow, all the masajid, not only for Jummah are they closed, but are closed to the public for regular prayers, 5 times prayers. How did that make you feel?
Well, personally, I know for like since my childhood, we've always like prayed together as a family. Like I could remember maybe like being 4 or 5 praying with my parents. So praying in a house is like not a very uncommon thing for me, and I think it actually provides like an opportunity because we think of the masjid as like a holy place, and then we come to our home sometimes. I mean, just be like a spot to chill or whatnot. But having your house as an area of where salah is established constantly, an area in which it's like meant for prayer, so you all pray together, is a good it's a good opportunity. It's like a blessing coming out of this actually.
Now, for my family, like we're super attached to the mosque, so especially like my father and me, it's quite a disruption for us to not be going to the mosque. But at the same time, it really allows us to like bring a lot of perspective because we're not the kind of people that really pray at home. So it allows us to kind of change environment, change that kind of uh, atmosphere, change that kind of relationship with our houses, with my house especially.
Um, Imran Bhai, you bring up a really good point here. With the masajids closing down um, um, and stopping their services, it is what seems to be a very sad occasion, or a sad thing. But we also have to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in His beloved book, that the entire earth has been made as a
Yeah.
place to make sajda upon. And so, alhamdulillah, yes, we are being tested in these trying times, but it also gives us a chance to purify ourselves, to bring the focus within, and to learn some of the things that are actually Islamic that we might not have learned otherwise. It's perfectly fine to grab your family together, pick a spot in your home, and keep it consistent in terms of the location, and just have the youngsters make the adhan, have the father or the man of the house lead the prayer, right? And maybe have a small talk afterwards with the family. Yeah, how do we think, or what do we think about the current situations? What's happening? How are each and every one of us in the family feeling? So it's a really good time, alhamdulillah, to bring the family close together.
A true bonding
And
experience.
that's something that doesn't necessarily always happen in your regular routine when you go to the mosque.
I have like a quick question, because you know how like we're saying the earth is an entire place for prayer, right? I'm sure you guys have prayed salah in many different areas. What's like one of the weirdest places you guys are doing your salah that like people like stared at you or it felt weird?
West Edmonton Mall,
Oh yeah,
100%.
in the
Yeah,
mall. What's that
inside the
story?
mall.
What's that story?
Well, it happened quite a while ago when I was quite a bit younger. But our family made a shopping trip to the West Edmonton Mall. It was time for prayer. And alhamdulillah, our family, and especially my dad, we are very concerned of our salah, and that's something that, alhamdulillah, in our family and even our extended family, we've been taught to care about. And so, my dad starts looking for a place to buy. And this is, mind you, this is before Yasmin opened up. Yasmin is a clothing shop, a fashion store. Alhamdulillah, they have a small musalla, but this is before they were actually in West Edmonton Mall. So we actually ended up finding on the main floor just a small section, excuse me, very close to the water, the seal place, right?
Yeah,
And
I know what you're
so,
talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so we just and we had our little brother just stand on the side, making sure that no one interrupts us and no one's
Oh
kind of
wow.
walking in front of us,
Yeah.
right? We just put our coats on the ground, or our jackets on the ground, and we just prayed. And we did get a lot of awful stares, and unfortunately I could not concentrate in that prayer because I was scared.
Oh man.
But it was definitely an eye-opening experience. This was, I think, 5 or so years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a
How about
while
you,
ago.
Z?
I wouldn't say like it's the like to me it's not because this wasn't really like a situation where there's a lot of people around. So I remember 2 3 years ago, mid December, like me and my family were going on a trip, right? And so we have to go and stop for prayer. And my parents are the kind of people that like irrespective of like where you are, if you have the ability to stand, you stand. And it's -30 outside. And so we're standing in -30 and we're praying Salah in the
Oh.
cold.
Yeah.
And so like my feet are frozen, my hands are frozen, my mouth is like frozen, like my snot is like coming out and it's freezing there and all that stuff. And you're just kind of sitting there like, oh, and, like you can't focus. It's really difficult to focus. But at the same time, it kind of like instills within you like that importance of like what Salah is.
Yeah, that's true. I remember for me, we were playing basketball on like one of these outdoor courts here in Edmonton, right? It wasn't actually cold. I think it was coming up to the start of summer. So me and all our friends, alhamdulillah, we got
Hold on.
together.
Just so people understand who are not from Edmonton, that start of the summer doesn't mean that um it's hot,
Oh,
right?
like
Start of the summer
there's still
actually
ice. There's
means
still
it's
ice.
still very cold. So
Yeah,
we have to explain that. Start of the
yeah,
summer means it's like still in the minus something.
yeah. There was ice in the floor, right?
Very true.
But still, you got to play basketball, so you go play basketball, right? Anyways, we stopped our game. We started doing salah. The field is empty. The whole area, like not a single soul in sight. We're probably like in our second rakat or something, and I'm leading salah. There's no jackets because we had nothing to put in the floor, even though it was winter, because that's us. And then all of a sudden, I hear from the back a whole bunch of rumbling. And then what are they doing? It was like an entire kindergarten class on a field trip, walking through the behind the school onto the basketball court right where we were praying. It was like super loud and distracting. And then like after I finished my salah, they're still there just staring at us. I think
Well,
this
that's
was
cute.
like, yeah, it was kind of cute, but that was like 10 years ago or something. So
Mashallah.
kind of interesting. How
No,
about
no,
you?
like, I haven't really, I don't remember a moment where I felt awkward praying in public or anything like that. Awkwardness comes in, for example, when you're praying at work, and then all of a sudden you're in ruku, and one of your colleagues or a woman, like a female colleague, comes and starts touching you and be like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "Ah, man, you just broke my salah. I prayed both rak'ah, you broke my
La
salah."
hawla wa la
Right?
quwwata illa billah.
And and then in relationship to the Zahruddin story, right? I used to travel from a small town called Blue Mountain to Ottawa a lot, right? And one of those trips, I took a gift for a speaker, for one of the Al Maghrib teachers, and so he gave me a musalla as a gift. And Subhanallah, as I'm driving back, it starts snowing, and I know I have to pray because the time for Dhuhr and Asr was expiring, and so I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna stop, and and you're gonna go outside and do sajda in the snow, but alhamdulillah, you have that musalla, and you put the musalla down and you pray. So
Mhm.
those type of incidents happen, and then you're like, oh, this perfect moment that the perfect things lined up. But
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, the like, and this is one of the things about our religion, that you can pray wherever you can, right? And except for two places, of course, the graveyard and the and the
Washroom.
washroom, right? Those are the places where najas is, where graveyard is.
Mhm.
Those are the places where you can pray, but everywhere else you can pray. But one of the amazing lessons for us to also take is that, like with this time, right, that you find these flexibilities within our deen. And
Yeah.
so there's this there's this challenge, or that some of the people are feeling, perhaps, where they cannot cope with what's going on, right? They will say, no, we can't close down the masjid, we cannot close down the Jummah Salah. And so they're being very hesitant, and they are almost as if they're not going to comply, right?
Mm.
And what you start finding with our religion is that our religion is a lot more merciful than the strict adherence to the rulings, right? Because someone who has very very basic knowledge, they'll say, well, these are the rules of Islam, and I have to follow it very stringently and directly, and I cannot compromise in these rules. But what you understand from the Deen itself, as you gain more understanding, especially foundations of the Deen, right? Foundations of the Deen is, how did Deen came about to be? How do we know how to practice something and when to practice something? Then you start realizing that these rules and these regulations, there's objectives behind them, and with that, our Deen is so merciful that it allows us to bend a rule so we can accommodate other issues. So, for example, when these hard things are happening, someone will say, "No, I'm going to pray in the masjid." But this is something that is basically, they're being very individualistic in this nature. Even though praying in the masjid is communal, but they're being very selfish in this nature. And our
Mm.
Deen teaches you to care about the society. So, for example, someone will say, read a research and say, "Well, majority of the people will not be affected by coronavirus." But then you see that there, on the other hand, there are some people who will be affected by the coronavirus, right? And so, even though there might be flaws in this research saying the majority will not be affected, but the fact that there are going to be affected, we have to care for them. And as Muslims, you have to care for them. And so we care for them, so this doesn't become a social, or rather, it doesn't become a big social issue. And so there's not even a single death is occurring. We have to comply, and we have to socially distance ourselves. And these are certain things that are built into our deen. And where these precedents comes from is that we have to understand that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi
Sallallahu alaihi
wasallam
wasallam.
actually built these precedents in the deen. So, for example, you will see, when it was raining, the Prophet ﷺ actually um, actually announces in adhan that everybody pray in your houses, right? And Anas radiallahu anhu understood this, right? So in the time of Anas radiallahu anhu, like when he was the governor, and like when it became muddy, right? The streets just are muddy. It's not even raining right now, but just the fact it's muddy, he saw that as a hardship on people, and he said, pray in your houses. Now, someone will say, well, the Prophet ﷺ didn't close the masjid down, right? But when the Prophet ﷺ makes an announcement, pray in your house, that's an order, right? You comply with the Prophet ﷺ.
Sallallahu alaihi
Allahu
So it's
Akbar.
wasallam.
essentially almost that you are not that you're not actually going to the masjid. You're going to comply and pray in the house. right? And so now our leaders, they make a decision, we also have to comply. And so there should be, yes, there's sadness in our hearts, right? But now is the time to make our houses into masajid, right? Perhaps this is a harsh lesson for all of us, that, oh, maybe we weren't praying enough in the house. Maybe our houses are dead. Maybe all we're doing is coming in the house, playing video games and watching shows and Netflix. And so because of that, right? Because of that, maybe we didn't take any of our lessons, right? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now telling us, pray in your house as opposed to um, praying in the masjid, right? Let's liven up our houses, right? Perhaps maybe we should every salah, someone should stand up, your brother, yourself, right? Stand up and give the adhan, right? And so you're actually calling that. That means the adhan is still going on. Yes, it's not happening in the masjid, but we're still united in Fajr. We're still united in Dhuhr. We're still united in Asr. And so let's establish Salah in our houses. Let's make our houses full of Islam, meaning let's recite Quran. Let's do the proper azkar, the morning and the evening, and the continuing istighfar. Let's take responsibility of what is happening here, right? To be sad. Imagine this, right? Someone will say, I'm so sad. I didn't go to the masjid, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala closed the masjid for me. And now imagine this. Oh, I didn't pray in my house. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala closed my house for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us from that. But imagine if
Mm.
that happens, right? We didn't pray in the masjid, the masajid are closed down. Now we need to pray in our house. Well, what happens now if we don't pray in our house? Right? Then the severity just increases for us. I know we went on a tangent here, but
Yeah.
let's take this. This we have room to be light and have fun, but let's also take the deeper lessons that we, all of us are facing, and inshallah we try to apply the deen as much as possible. Maybe this is an opportunity for all of us to develop ourselves, and then become a little bit stronger. So now when the masajid are actually opened up, right, that we go full force and actually liven up the masjid as well.
Inshallah.
What do
Inshallah.
you guys think?
I think there is definite proof that with adversity comes ease, and then also in situations of crisis, opportunities are created. So, like, essentially, what I would like a major takeaway from this whole life episode to be is that even when things get hard, we can adapt and find even ways to be more beneficial. Alhamdulillah, we've done many programs in the past, but every time we do them, we always come with the intention to make them better and better. But we don't always get those challenges. Now we have a challenge. How better can we be in the face of these challenges? And for closing regards, I just want to ask us two questions. What are like some, especially for Zahradim, like what's some like main sources we can get when we're talking about these things? And then for Brother Imran, Islamically, what are some main sources we can get? And then finally, what do you guys feel like is going to be a really positive takeaway from all this?
All right. I'll just try and answer this quickly. Ideally, like looking at main sources, CDC.gov, the U.S. source, really strong source, even though the U.S. response to coronavirus is pretty weak. Another really good source, AHS, Alberta Health Services. If you feel like you have any coronavirus symptoms, there is a HealthLink assessment for web assessment like website that you can actually like screen yourself at. And if you really feel like this is a problem, call 811 HealthLink, and they'll direct you to the nearest like drive-through testing center. Um, Aside from that, like just really stick closely to the news, stick closely to any new developments, whether it be, oh, there might be a new mutation or there might be a new vaccine. uh, balance the balance the positives with the negatives, especially in this kind of time where it's just like all these negatives kind of coming at us all at once. Uh, being able to have perspective and know that this too shall pass is really fundamental to a belief as a Muslim and to a belief as a strong human being.
Yeah, nicely said.
Jazakallah
Yeah.
khairan.
And
And
Brother
so,
Imran?
from an Islamic standpoint, what I would say is, instead of recommending any, inshallah, we'll do that in the future. We recommend certain courses and certain speakers to listen to. You have a lot of resources that are available to you, especially YouTube, right? There's a lot of lectures that you can follow. What I would recommend is to follow a curriculum. right? Don't just listen to one speech and there's no follow up on that speech. Listen to a curriculum where there's a series of lecture, so it becomes something that you're expanding, and you're not just listening for the small, for the momentary boost of iman, right? You're actually looking for long-term boost of iman by actually gaining and proper understanding and proper knowledge, right? So look for something that is a series, not just a single talk, but perhaps there are like 10 talks, and then you can go one by one, right? um, Class one, class two, class three, and listen to all of those all through. What I would recommend is, instead of spending a lot of time, maybe consuming, let's say, consuming like these TV shows that are non-beneficial, and inshallah we'll talk more about this in the future casts. That look at these videos that you can listen, take notes, right? Look at where you can adjust. Now, this is the time, not just for knowledge, but there is also time that we have to become very practical, right? So look at where your gaps are and practice and start fulfilling those gaps, right? So take knowledge and then start making sure that that knowledge is being practical, that you're utilizing for yourself. So I'll leave the advice, leave that as advice for today. But one thing that I would really like to add is that um, this we're starting this for our momentum community, and of course everybody is welcome to participate. Everyone is welcome to join. And what I would really like to see from you is some feedback on what can we discuss, what are certain topics that you want us to discuss, what are questions that you have, what are some doubts that you have, what are some certain things that we can clear up for you, what are some fun topics to have, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. We talked about, can we do a night program, right? If we can do a night program, what type of night program would you like to see on this type of um, um, on this type of platform? When we're not physically together, at least we can be spiritually together, and we can be together in heart at least, right? And together in dua as well, right? So give us your ideas and participate in that, in the sense that, okay, give us your feedback. And if you want to be part of the speaker group, group, tell us, right? Maybe you'll be one of us, the fifth person on the screen, or maybe you're replacing one of the Zahruddin, Mahmoud, or Akil, or myself, and you guys are giving the talks. So there is for you, and inshallah we want to benefit you as much as possible.
Thank you for watching, everyone. We read all your comments, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Momentum